Algebra 2, factoring polynomials. How would you factor this trinomial? Okay, let's have a look. Here we are going to be factoring this cubic trinomial, x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4. And since this is a cubic trinomial, we cannot do the typical method for the AC method or the tic-tac-toe method to factor this. So what do? The standard way to do it is to use the Rational Zero Theorem first. And let me explain that for you. THM is the abbreviation for theorems. And this right here also has another name, Rational Root Theorem. Same thing. What this tells us is that we will first be checking the following numbers, and they will be the possible rational zeros for this polynomial, meaning the x value that you plug in, and you will end up with 0. You don't have to check 5, you don't have to check 17, because the Rational Zero Theorem says we just have to check the following. First, we are going to be looking at the constant term, which is 4. And then, we ask ourselves for the factors of 4. We know 1 times 4 is 4, so both of them are the factors of 4. And we also know 2 times 2 is 4, so 2. Just write down the 2 one time. And then, look at the leading coefficient, which is 1, because we have the 1 times x to a third power. So this is what we have first, but divided by the factors of 1, which is just divided by 1, doesn't matter. Not only we have this, but you also will have to check the positive negative version of this. So in fact, we have to check 6 possibilities. 1 and negative 1, 4 and negative 4, 2 and negative 2. And I will tell you, note that if you check x is equal to negative 1 because you see the 4 and the negative 3, if you can make this negative 1, it will be perfect, and it does. When x is equal to negative 1 is a 0. Or you can also call this a root, same thing. I can show you this real quick. If you plug in negative 1 into all the x's, we get negative 1 to the third power minus 3 times negative 1 squared plus 4. This is negative 1. This is positive 1. Negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Plus 4 is 0. Does work. Okay, so what this tells us is the following. Once we have this, we will know, so this is an implication. This means we can get x. Imagine just add 1 to both sides. So you will get x plus 1 is a factor. Now, we have a factor, that's great. How do we find the other factors though? Then, well, I'll tell you, we will use either the polynomial long division or the synthetic division, and I would recommend you guys to learn the synthetic division, even though when you first see it, you might not like it, but I'll tell you long division might be even worse. It's long, right? But anyways, this is how it goes. You draw something like this, like half of the box, like that. And then you write down the coefficients of the polynomial. We begin by the 1, x cubed. You don't have to write down the variables. Just 1, and keep in mind, it's the x cubed. Next is minus 3, right? Just put on negative 3 x squared. And do we have any x terms? We don't. However, that means we have 0 x to the first power. You will need to put down the 0. This is the same as, again, x cubed minus 3x squared plus 0x and then plus 4. We must have the 0 here. It's like the placeholder. It's like if you have to write a check for $1,008. You don't just put down 1 and 8. You have to put down 1008. Lastly, the number 4. So that's the setup. Then, to continue, notice that we have the x being equal to negative 1 to 0. Put down the negative 1 right here. And this is how you continue. This is how you start with the synthetic division. You first bring down this number, which is 1. And then you take this number times this number and put down the result here. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, just like that. Then combine them, just add them up. Negative 3 plus negative 1, we get negative 4. and then we'll repeat the process. -1 times -4 is +4. Add them up, we get 4. -1 times 4 is -4. Add them up, we get 0. This right here should always be 0 under the assumption that we did this correctly, which we did. So that confirms us that we are on the right track. This right here is going to give you the coefficients of the second factor. So here's the deal. We start off with x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4. We first know that we have x plus 1 being a factor. The second factor is going to be from here. Notice originally we have x cubed. We factored out the x to the first power. So this, the power goes down by 1. So we have 1 x squared. And then right here just continue minus 4x to the first power. And then plus 4, just a constant term. So this tells us we have x squared minus 4x and then plus 4 as our second factor. Okay, this is done. And this is just a regular quadratic trinomial. You can factor it the regular way. To get x squared, we need x times x. And to get +4, well, what times 4 give us +4? Together they have to add up -4. Well, we need -2 and -2. So yeah, just like that. And notice that we have x minus 2 times x minus 2. So yes, we can write this as x minus 2 squared. So let me put that right here. So here we have it. This is how you will factor this polynomial.